Welcome back to Curse, Code, and Crown, a live play Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition podcast featuring a fully original world and campaign. I am the wizard Cronox, observer of time. Curse, Code, and Crown features our regular voiceover artists and improvisers, Laura Elizabeth as the Orc Count Eta and Princess Gwendolyn, Tyler Hewitt as Makka Deathcap, and Ryan LaPlante as Duncan Danno, alongside our dungeon master, the incredible Tom McGee. So get ready for an adventure including thrills, chills, and hope for a brighter tomorrow. It's time for Curse, Code, and Crown!
A massive, four-tentacled lightning being has risen from the engine of the felled cloud skimmer. For visuals, think the... Oh, Jesus, what do they call it in the most recent Stranger Things monster that wasn't the Demogorgon? The Mind Flayer.
Mind Flayer, yeah.
Yeah, but on a smaller scale. So it's not that, city-sized, but kind of four massive cascading arced electrical tentacles, and then kind of a central body with kind of a sparking massive... a jaw would be the wrong term. It's more of just kind of a gaping void of electricity in its center, but clearly what you would imagine if it was going to try and chomp on you with what it would try and chomp on you with. So as that begins to ascend from the felled engine where it was feeding and growing, please roll initiative.
15, 1-5 for Duncan.
Yep.
15 for Eta.
Hey.
1 for Makka.
Yep. Well, it also rolled badly, so you got that going for you at least. Okay. Duncan, what is your what bonus do you add to your initiative when you roll?
+6.
Oh yeah, he's going first. +6? The fuck,
yeah, Duncan
man?
adds his proficiency to his initiative.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Because he's a sortie boy. A sortie boy. Okay, great. So Duncan, you're up first. You hear Ita's indecision followed by her indecision suddenly cutting off, which is never a great sign, as well as that sound of I've only heard it once or twice, but that heavy electrical of massive amounts of wattage running.
Yeah, like when you're near a power station and it just has the arc and it's like, what?
Yeah, exactly. So you hear that and that's not a great sound. And you were worried this thing was going to explode anyway. So you step out of the cabin to see this creature rise from the engine. What do you do?
I was going to say, it's so bad. Duncan actually spins and he kicks open the cabin door and just comes out shooting. I'm going to use a swashing point to make this a full assault.
Amazing.
Nice.
I love that.
So he's coming out. Both barrels, just full blast, using his arm as the steadying force for the shots. He gets advantage for free because it hasn't acted yet in combat. So it's a 22 to hit with the first shot.
That'll hit. Yep.
Oh, it's even more than that, but all good. And the second shot is a dirty 20.
Yep. Both of those will hit.
Great. And I am adding an additional 4 damage. So for the first shot, ooh, yeah, baby. It does 17 damage. And the second bullet or round goes through. It does 8.
Okay.
So for a total of 25.
Damn, man.
From Mr. Bang.
Some good shooting. The bullets strike it. You see it do that kind of classic kaiju thing when a kaiju gets hit by stuff, or kind of tilts a little bit. If it had a face, it would look to you as you run out shooting.
Great. And then in the spirit of what their tactical plan is, if he can, he would use his movement to get in front of Ida and draw his rapier. He's big distract boy is his goal.
No, I think you could absolutely use your movement for that. Again, this thing, there is also value to noting that its legs are cascading out of the engine as it kind of like makes itself corporeal again. So you do have those moments as you kind of scatter and work. So yeah, you run in front, you pull your blade. The driest hair, I guess like a bit of your beard might be starting to kind of like stand on end, but you're also so wet that's not like you'd have full frizz hair or anything because like you're soaked. But you can feel just the electrical energy coming off this thing and kind of crackling around you. That said, you don't feel it as intently as you might otherwise because a lot of the static electricity is being absorbed by Makka's blessing. Cool. You face down the air elemental Myrmidon. So you face down the Myrmidon. Ita. Duncan is just swept in front of you. Got between him and the creature. He's just shot it twice. The Myrmidon is rising. What do you do?
I think I will cast Disorienting Theorem on it, just to like kind of confuse and distract it.
Okay.
And kind of like leaning out from behind Duncan, just ever so slightly. I just say, this is where I speak like mathematical or like physical falsehoods to disorient it. And I just say, energy can be created and destroyed, and we will destroy you.
Okay. What do I need to roll?
Intelligence saving throw, DC 14.
Well, you picked a good stat for this one. DC 17?
14.
14. All right. The creature makes it.
You knew I spoke falsely.
It sort of crackles and looks to you, then crackles back to Duncan. Every time its head turns, you get that after image thing where it's like it's not like it's physically glowing in your eyes, but it's just its features seem to appear wherever it's looking, which is distracting, but makes sense. All right, great. Next up, we have the Myrmidon. So it will. With Duncan kind of directly in front of it, one of its arms kind of dissipates and shoots back up kind of through its body and emerges kind of as crackling electrical, almost like little balls of lightning. It almost looks like an electrical flail and basically just whips forward and up. So just kind of rakes up across your body, or at least it's going to attempt to. What's your AC right now, sir?
17.
17. All right. So that is a hit, a miss, and another hit. So you managed to, I think, just slice one of them clear with your blade since it's out and on the ready. Two of the hits strike you for, that is 15 points of damage, bludgeoning damage.
Bludgeoning damage. Okay. Is it electrical? So does that affected by the resistance?
Yes, it is, and it is.
Beautiful.
As the two do strike, though, the two balls strike each other, kind of near your head, and burst, hitting you with a lightning strike. So that is 1 moment, an additional 21 points of lightning damage, and I need you to make a DC 14 con save. I will give you advantage because of Makka's blessing on the save.
Is that 21 before resistance or after resistance?
Before resistance. I'm just going to give you the clean dirty numbers, and you can
Beautiful.
cheat however you want, players.
I would like to use an uncanny dodge reaction on that to have the damage further. So does that eliminate it altogether, or it's halved by resistance, then halved again?
Can you do that to... This is technically an effect off of that attack rather than a separate attack. So can you do that in reaction to just any damage that you perceive coming?
It says when an attacker you can see hits you with an attack. So I don't know. It's a weird vagary of this.
I would let you have... I mean, ultimately, it doesn't really matter. So let's have the remaining damage rather than completely neutralizing it, only because I feel like I would probably have let you use that on an earlier attack rather than this one, so it'll net out to roughly the same amount of damage.
Totally reasonable. And you said con save DC 14?
That's correct.
With advantage.
But you also have disadvantage from being exhausted, so it will net out to a single roll.
But does the saving throw qualify as an ability check?
Oh, it doesn't. You're correct. So no, you have advantage.
Oh, good. That one comes out to 17 total.
17. All right. So you're fine. Your head is ringing, but you've got your eyes on the prize. Nice thing about fighting a giant lightning monster is you don't need to worry about where it is. It is very obviously directly in front of you.
That is true.
Excellent. All right. And that brings us to Makka.
Makka, hearing this commotion, will now finally emerge from the crashed cloud skimmer. And as soon as he sees what's going on, he's going to cast Chill Touch again. So that spectral skeletal hand kind of, I think, just emerges up out of the ground and tries to grasp at this elemental myrmidon. Jesus.
Yes.
All right. So magic attack. 18 plus 8. So 26.
Yes, that will definitely hit. Yep.
And then 2d8 for damage. Oh, not double 8s this time. That's a total of 6 damage necrotic.
6 damage. All right. Do. Great. So yeah, the hand comes up, grabs at the pillar that it had kind of dropped to steady itself. The hand kind of like breaks through the one of the arms. Another one cascades and shoots out. The whole creature lurches. It hits the ground. But its corporeal form shifts rather frequently. Top of the round, Duncan. You've just been hit by some lightning damage. The creature is in front of you. Makka has just staggered it somewhat. What do you do?
Oh, Duncan's just swinging in with that rapier, baby. I think because it's kind of incorporeal, he's not going to do his usual like spear work, because that's what you would do with a physical body to prevent it from getting caught up in bones. So I think in this case, it's actually him in the rare chance of taking his rapier pommel with his second hand and just hacking like a machete at the limbs that are in front of him.
Sure, yeah, that makes sense.
So he's just kind of doing that heroic last stand, defend the target behind him thing. It's a form of training he would rarely get, two-handed with a rapier with client directly behind him. But you know what? This is why he trained so hard for so many years.
Yeah, I feel like you also got training with a 2x4 in case you were unarmed, and this is just evoking that. Like,
weirdly enough, yes, I do add my proficiency to improvised weapons. You know,
there we go. You know,
a lot of weird skill sets.
Spent a lot of time viewing the traveling play Walk Tall, and
it's true. It's true. All right. And he will be using a swashing point. He's his full debonair ass-kicking self. The first attack is a 17. Oh, no, that's a 21 to hit.
Yep.
And the second is a 27.
Oof.
Yes.
27.
To both, obviously.
The first strike will be doing 16 magical piercing damage. I imagine the weapon's magic quality might matter against an elemental. Who knows?
It does, yes.
Beautiful. And the second one does...
in that it doesn't suck and eat shit while hitting it.
This is why he loves it. We'll do a total of 12 magical piercing damage for the second strike.
So what was your damage total?
Total will be 29. 17 to 12.
Damn, man.
Holy shit.
And I think he'll just be yelling, "I love this fucking sword!"
Amazing. Ita, good news. Duncan loves his fucking sword. What do you do?
That's great. I'm going to do what I should have done at the start of every combat, and I always forget about, and use a droid analysis, because it's just a free bonus action, and I always forget about it. So I'm going
you only use it for fishing these days.
Fucking hell, right? I'm going to do that, which allows me to like analyze its movement patterns to give me...
Discombobulate.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm going to come and like basically pop out from behind Duncan, where I've kind of been the whole time, and just take a great swing with my great club.
Cool.
Because that is 15 to hit.
Unfortunately, that will not.
All right.
You swing the club through, and despite, again, you're having the same problem with the droid analysis that you did previously, which is that you can't. It's hard to track lightning that is moving in a sentient way because it defies science, and as a result, no dice. So you swing through, but the area you're swinging at dissipates and reforms as you do so.
Okay.
Much to your frustration. It is the Myrmidon's turn. Let's see if it regains its lightning strike. Oh, baby. That's a 6. 6 on the die. So it is going to, this time it's going to take 2 strikes at Duncan and 1 strike at Ita. You'll have disadvantage at striking Ita because you're kind of behind Duncan, but
Okay.
although you would have to step forward to attack, so actually it won't. It'll take 2 on Duncan, 1 on you. Duncan, your AC again, sir.
17.
17. All right. So that is 1 hit and 1 miss. And Ita, that is a hit.
Oof.
Okay. So Duncan, for you, sir, that is going to be I only hit with 1 of those. So actually you only get 1, which is much better. So 12 points of damage.
Cool. I want to use a reaction to parry.
Okay.
So I get to remove. It was 12, right? Yeah, I can't not. That's the minimum roll. So I managed to reduce the damage from that to 0.
Nice. All right, great. So as you strike out, or as it strikes, you just like while swinging your sword, I think just muscle your double-handed grip under your rain cloak and just kind of swing it up so the lightning slaps against it. And you see kind of electrical charge casting around. I'm imagining those like I forget what sci-fi thing does it, but there's a whole bunch of things. I mean, Kevlar I think also does this, where just whatever gets hit, everything kind of zooms around that and hardens, but kind of happening across your spores. Mm-hmm. So as the lightning strikes it, like a bunch of them clump together and become harder and firmer and like take the hit before dissipating. But Ita, for you, oh man, I rolled trash.
You rolled trash.
Yeah.
Trash for you.
Trash for me. Good for you.
Good.
So that's 7 points of bludgeoning damage. Unfortunately, it's also going to unleash its lightning strike damage on you. It might secretly be salty that you tried to disprove its existence a few minutes ago. That always pisses people off.
People do take that really hard for some reason.
18 points of lightning damage.
Oh, added to that? Okay.
Yeah. And then I need a DC 14 con save from you, please.
6 con save? No. It's a 5.
All right. You are stunned until the end of the Myrmidon's next turn.
Oh, shit. Does that mean my adroit analysis is now ineffective?
I believe so. You're incapacitated. You can't move and can speak only falteringly. You automatically fail strength and dex saves, and attack rolls against you have advantage. As you're struck with lightning, not only are you interrupted, but like it occurs to you that if energy cannot be destroyed, then this thing theoretically can't be defeated, and it gives you pause to chew on as you're fried from electrical energy. Mm-hmm. It's a bummer.
I mean, I'm just kind of aware that like the energy from the lightning is translating into physical damage in my body, like it's forced.
Yeah, absolutely.
It all makes sense.
Like as your hair burns. You're having one of those real like academic
energy
debate.
Transfer.
Yeah.
You're trying to do math while you're getting tased. It's going to take you.
It's that classic like, listen, I've read a lot about running marathons, and I'm pretty sure so yes, the reality is harsher than the theory as always. Cool. Makka. You see Ida just get electro blasted and clearly kind of stumbling around, swinging her club in a daze. Duncan seems to be kind of well sheltered under your aegis, as it were. But you're up. What do you do?
It may be difficult to tell, but does this creature look like it's yielding or faltering in any way, or does it seem?
No, it seems hellbent on destroying whatever was
All right.
bothering it.
We're gonna.
I was just imagining Andy defraining up to the sky and just yelling, "Panthers!"
Just
I would like to say that Makka Deathcap summoned panthers that day. I would like to say that. But sometimes panthers don't show up when you need them to.
I'm gonna up the necrotic damage ante and cast Blight on this
Yes.
elemental. And Blight requires this fellow to make a Constitution saving throw to beat a 16.
nice.
It does not.
Okay. That is 8d8 necrotic damage.
Whoa!
God, I love Blight.
Blight to meet you.
So this is 4d8 I'm rolling right now. Just give me a second. So that's 12 plus 9 is 21.
Yep.
Thank you. Here's the other 4. 7 and 7 is 14 plus 3 is 17. 17 plus 12 is 29.
Oh, Jesus.
Was it plus 21? No? Right? 17 plus 21?
Sorry, I got them mixed up and said it was 12. It was 21. I'm sorry. So
Even better.
yeah, more like 38.
Yeah. Fuck yeah.
Necrotic
Wow,
damage.
wee wah. All right. Damn, man. All right. So, describe what this looks like for me, sir.
Well, I've used Blight once before on a Tortle cultist of Jossie, and that basically just shriveled him up into like a mummy, and he just fell over dead. Since this is still about sort of extracting vitality, I think it's just dispersing the concentration of electricity. I think it affects whatever's focusing it to like anchor it in this place and take this form. It causes the electricity to just start like arcing off and basically expending this energy with no real focus or direction. It just starts to arc off and no longer have that kind of focus.
So we'll say it looks less like the Mind Flayer now and more almost like a like a tangled bundle of scribbles. Like it's just the physical form is losing substance. And yeah, it's like arcing off, striking bits of metal on the ship. Striking nearby treetops, but is clearly less focused. Love that. Top of the round, Duncan.
Duncan is still swinging away and trading blows with this giant dissipating weird lightning thing. It's like fighting inside a fireworks display. And he's just yelling to it, "One day I'm going to pen a book about dueling, but you know what they always tell writers? Show, don't tell." And then he's just going to wade in even deeper with his two-handed blade.
All right, go ahead, bud.
He'll swash the shit out of this. The first hit is a 30.
Packing up my books and going home. Yes, the 30 will hit.
Wow.
The second one is
anything less than a 30, we're going to be real disappointed with you.
It is going to be less than a 30.
This guy.
Nah, fuck it. I'm using that inspiration point. Roll again. Yeah, it's also a 30.
All right, amazing, man. Wow.
So the first hit will do that's 12 magical piercing damage, and the second will do 16 for a total of 28 magical piercing damage from the best bone rapier in the world.
Tell me how you take this thing apart.
I think he's leaning in as the energy starts getting expended, and because he's having to hack it apart, he's using different tactics than he normally would. It's all hip based, and he's very level on the ground, lashing upwards with broad strokes, and it slashes at him, bats it aside, hacks the limb off. Next one comes in, hacks the limb off, hacks the limb off. The last one, it's like a full up, and he just takes the limb and the torso in half up through the center of this damn myrmidon.
Great, amazing. So you bring it up, and then I think as you slash down, you actually cut into the engine, and it sparks and lets out like a metallic whine. And the energy it was drawing on to empower itself dissipates, and there's kind of like one last kind of massive static blast, and then because it's energy, as soon as that hits, it just like there's like a couple more crackles, but it's just gone. Like it's just one of those things where just as soon as there's nothing feeding it, it just dissipates, and you're left kind of in the smoking ruin of the airship. With nothing but the sound of rainfall and rain ascension around you.
Is everyone well? I can administer healing.
I'm doing all right, but I will say, with the engine dealt with, does anyone object to the idea of taking a bit of a breather in one of these cabins?
I would not be opposed to resting for a short while. Perhaps taking a short rest.
All right, Mark, if you want to take a look at her, maybe we can all, take a breather out of the storm for a second.
Very well. Yes,
Also,
come inside.
That spell was fucking awesome. I like that a lot. Thank you.
Very good. Come inside. Take shelter.
So with that, you all pile, I assume, into like probably the captain's cabin's the nicest remaining thing. It is it's roomy enough that there's space. Ita, you're immediately more comfortable in this space because it's clearly run by a very scientific mind. Everything is very orderly in its place. As you all pile in, Makka, you hear a slight crunch under your foot as you step in, and as you raise your foot, you look down, and inexplicably there's a small, now cracked model of some sort, and it seems to be like it's kind of hard to tell what it was. Also, I think to you this stuff is all fairly frivolous, but you can see a body and kind of an oversized head that seems to be attached on some kind of spring, and it looks to be a figure in like a long white coat, but wearing almost armor, like a green, like an emerald green. Such a stupid pull. Think like the Elizabeth Banks Rita Repulsa from the new Power Rangers, like slick green armor, or this is a less dumb one, any of the Kree soldiers from Captain Marvel, like just like a functional like leather armor style suit, but in a like brilliant emerald.
It appears to be very form-fitting.
Yeah, very form-fitting, and also like good for movement, and not, it's not super sturdy, but it's basically like a brilliant green kind of armor under a long white lab coat, and the head is cracked, but you can see a pair of almost like Ghostbusters style goggles with kind of like a variety of or Splinter Cell, if that's a better reference for you, sort of things tilted up on the head, and just a caved in face that you stepped on. So you're not sure what the face would have been. This thing makes no sense to you, but it seems to be standing in a pose with like one finger in the air and another hand on its hip.
Yeah, and sorry, did you say a head on a spring, like a Jack-in-the-Box kind of situation?
More like a bobblehead.
Like a bobblehead. And this is, we've been talking about it's got a humanoid shape. Is it small? Like I stepped on the whole thing, or is it like this, like life size?
No, it's a bobblehead. It's literally a bobblehead size.
I wanted to make sure I wasn't
small. The head is no. The head is large in kind of a Pop Funko way. So it's just like a bit of a body behind it. The spring is now kind of bent, so the head's at a weird, like creepy broken angle.
Okay.
Small pointed ears, and just the corner of a knowing smirk, aside from the caved in remainder of it.
Some kind of trinket.
I'll stoop down and pick it up off the ground.
Great.
Does now I know this, but Makka wouldn't necessarily. But does it have like a platform that it's standing on with like any kind of writing or inscription on it?
It has a base that just says in all caps in common science with an exclamation mark made of a lightning bolt at the end.
Yes.
I'll join my friends and I'll just place it on like a shelf or a table or anything like that.
Sure.
It seems somewhat inconsequential to Makka, I think.
Yep, absolutely.
But he'll just bring it along and set it down somewhere instead of leaving it on the ground.
Tom, does Ida recognize the figure?
Can you roll me a history check, please?
Yes.
I know Duncan doesn't. I'm not even going to pitch it.
Not 20.
Woo! So as your streak of nat 20s continues,
Like, so
at this point,
wild.
I think I might just mail you my notebooks about the rest of the adventure. You can just
in
read them.
combat, you could just straight up murder her. So it's like it's
it's
back
so
and forth.
true. It's like
I mean,
knowledge checks. Yes. I mean, it's very in character. So
truly, yeah. Also, I mean, as you've determined, this is a world where those checks often matter more than the combat checks. So good work. Yes. Ita, you're actually taken aback a little bit because hell yeah, you recognize this figure. You've actually heard her speak before during one of her tours. This is one of the heroes of the Apex Institute, one of their celebrities, and again, weirdly, one you would actually like because she's a science person. This is the famous Sylvia Tome, the science gnome.
Sylvia Tome.
She is known as the kind of explorer, adventurer, scientist of Apex Institute. And one of the people they actively send on things. In modern parlance, she would be the person with her own like Anthony Bourdain, Bear Grylls, like I'm gonna go explore a thing show.
Yeah.
Obviously one of those people is awesome and one of them sucks, but you know what I mean.
So she's the
It's
guy.
Syl Tome, the science
yes.
gnome. No, it's
Yes.
a Syl.
Yeah, you got it. You're getting what I'm picking up.
Wonderful.
But yes, she is. She's known for being essentially like the Indiana Jones of the Apex Institute. If there's something they need explored, she is famous for having explored it, come back and spoken about it. So the fact that there is a bobblehead of her on the ship isn't entirely surprising. But looking around, you suddenly get that like fangirl kick of like, wait a minute, who would command a sky skimmer, like a cloud skimmer, into an eternal storm on a science vessel? Only one gnome would be brave enough for that. You suspect you are in fact on the trail of Sylvia Tome herself.
Ida does that.
Just
She,
leans
like,
back and then
literally
kind of breathe
just,
in.
like,
quietly.
yeah, she looks at it and just kind of clutches her chest. Goes,
Ita, is everything well? Is this some sort of cursed artifact? I will destroy it. Yes.
No, on the contrary, this is my idol. This is my hero. This is. How do you not know Sylvia Tome?
That is,
The science gnome. She has a song.
I am afraid Sylvia's head has been destroyed and she is no more, Ita. There is naught I can do for her.
Oh, he thinks you're idol. He thinks that is Sylvia. Do you want to clarify for him?
Oh,
Is that not Sylvia?
no. This is like a small statue of her in honor. It's like
Sylvia
know.
is larger.
Yes. This is
I see.
yes.
Now, is
Yes.
Sylvia alive?
Sylvia is a gnome.
Or is
I
Sylvia
know.
like Danno, a creature of myth?
No. I have seen her. I have seen her in person. I have told her how much I admire her.
Oh, all right. So you're thinking she's here because someone has a toy of her?
Well, I mean that I imagine that I think she may have she's like hyperventilating, like she may be here. I mean, look, at the very least, it is someone who deeply admires her. But I know very few who would be so bold as to come here.
And you have met her, yes?
Indeed.
You know her face.
Oh, indeed. Yes, her face looks much like this. And I hold it.
Just like, it's like the fucking Gabbo dummy from The Simpsons. Like, face is smashed in the jaws at a weird angle.
Yeah.
Truly horrific.
Makka says he'll stand up and step kind of out through the doorway and say,
Ita, would you come with me? You may be able to identify Sylvia among the dead.
Oh,
You have seen her face.
I had not considered. Please, immediately, we must.
I'm going to go over to these gnome corpses that were lined up and covered.
Sure. So Makka, what we usually use insight with you for matters of gravekeeping, correct?
Insight. Yeah, insight would work. We've
Nature?
done religion and nature as well.
Okay.
We usually do religion or nature, actually.
Okay.
We don't use insight.
Fair enough. That makes more sense. Let's roll a nature check. This is one of those, like, let's determine what the nature of these, like, what damage has been done to these bodies by the crash.
You know, it's also something that I never thought I would have to use, so I am just going to mention it because I'm excited that we're dealing with gnomes again. I do have advantage on gnome religion checks if these bodies have been laid down in any kind of traditional or significant way to observe.
Okay.
Any kind
Wow.
Yeah.
From our time in the Bone Spurs?
Yeah. Damn,
They
man.
talk to me about that gnome time religion.
Yeah, man.
Give me that gnome time religion. Anyway, here's the nature check.
You can have advantage on this then.
Okay.
Yep.
Great. The die roll result goes up by 1. I'll take it. And we're saying nature, so that is a 21.
21. Okay, great. So yes, you recognize that these bodies were. I want to say, what's the best way to put this? You get the like you definitely see trappings of what you would expect from your learnings about gnomish religion, but they've been done in a very kind of logical and methodical way. You're not seeing they haven't been wrapped carefully; they've been wrapped efficiently. So in modern terms, it'd be the difference between, I think, a church you would go where like everything is very solemn and everyone knows the words to all the hymns, like a Christian church knows the hymns, knows when to stand up and sit down, knows when to shake hands, knows when to go get the wafer, like knows every step of it, doesn't need to be guided, is very, very deep in it. This is more like a giant,
one of those YouTube videos of someone like vendor just like preparing food like super, super fast kind of thing.
Yeah, in that ballpark. I would almost say it's kind of the way that like a lot of, I don't know, like the way my family celebrates Christmas. Like there's not like a whole lot of religion in the way we celebrate Christmas. We still celebrate Christmas, but it's done. Or like a lot of my friends who are of the Jewish faith often like do things like, yeah, we're going to absolutely light the menorah, but like I'm still going to have bacon tomorrow. Like it's that kind of, the sense you're getting is that this is a distilled version of gnomish religion that is done by people who likely follow the rituals because the rituals matter, but they aren't necessarily true believers, if that makes sense.
So it's like the burial at sea version of a funeral versus
kind of, or these people are just so hell-bent on their scientific method that they might be like, I understand this is part of my culture, but I don't necessarily believe that like they got a better like chance with gnome Jesus because I wrapped them properly. So yeah, somewhere in the ballpark of all those things. But yeah, Ryan, I think that's a good way to put it. Also, there aren't any funerary rites. Yeah, there aren't any funerary rites that have been done here. It is very much like the equivalent of a burial at sea, to the point where you would expect they will likely try and come back. Like this feels like we got to leave this for now.
This is a hostile area.
We'll give you minimal honors in case we die. Like there's definitely been some, you find, I don't know, we'll say like a coin in each hand, which is something that they do to be like, it's the classic ferryman payment thing. So like they still did the bare minimum to make sure that if they didn't come back, that these gnomes would be fine. But it's taciturn, and it also doesn't look, there's not a lot of faith in this. There's more ritual, if that makes sense.
Okay. Makka will then be careful in how he handles these corpses, but he does pull the coverings away so that Ita can see if Sylvia is among the dead.
Sure. And I think, Makka, you would actually know how to wrap these bodies properly to do what they were attempting to do. To Ryan's point of burial at sea, often that's kind of like, we'll wrap you in a flag and sort of push you off the side, or a sheet if we don't have that. This, that if the goal is to preserve these bodies for later actual burial, you can wrap them better. So it's not like you're disrupting anything. But because of the high roll you made, the bodies were actually in pretty good shape. They aren't, Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru from Star Wars. So you can look, man, that scared the shit out of me as a kid. That's always that and the Jack Nicholson Joker buzzer. Like, that is what fried corpse looks like in my head and nightmares forever. So no, they're not that. You're good. They just clearly probably succumb to, if you were to take a glance, smoke inhalation, or possibly we'll say one of them probably it was smoke inhalation. The other was just the impact. Like, they just landed badly. That said, because they aren't too burnt, you can actually take a proper look. Their faces are intact enough that Ita, you're able to identify that neither is Sylvia. But Makka, sorry, you had something and I cut you off.
I was just going to say, I will cast Gentle Repose as a ritual, so it doesn't take a spell slot, but it takes a little bit more time. And I will, because of my observations leading me to the conclusion that this was done out of an observation of proper, like a cultural reaction to how to handle your dead, but with the intention of coming to collect them and give them proper burial. So he's going to bestow Gentle Repose upon them, where they basically won't decay or rot or anything like that for 10 days.
Great. Cool. So you cast that as Ita, you examine the bodies.
I also can't become undead, which is important too.
Yes, absolutely. Just in case Tainted Jossie happens to be hanging around. Yeah. Smash cut to the mushroom in Duncan's pocket. So they are wearing green jumpsuits as well, but these are less well appointed than the one on the bobblehead. Ida, to you, this would come as no surprise because, like, again, Sylvia Tome is a vaunted adventurer and who would, of course, have better stuff. So instead, you can think of these almost as flight suits. They're, like a one piece bodysuit, zipped up, a bunch of pockets, Rob Liefeld style. So just like bandoliers of pockets around their thigh and stuff, like a 90s X-Men character, all in the same green. They have a logo. There's they have sort of the apex which is a stylized, it's a little bit like the Star Trek logo, if you think of it that way. So kind of a stylized A, where it comes up to a point, but off one of the legs, it kind of arcs back and upward and in, almost on that Star Trek communicator arc, but just across it and make the A. And beyond that, the arc of that line becomes a star. It's like any space agency logo is a decent parallel for this. But unlike the Bleen consortium of Bleen logo, this is legitimately slick in kind of an Apple way. It does legitimately look good. So they have that on either shoulder, kind of like astronauts wearing their flags. However, over their right breast, they have a patch that has that same star, but sort of tucked in the little gaps between the points of the star. There's like an Erdemeyer flask, a pair of tweezers, what looks like a microscope. Like, they basically just have a bunch of different icons signifying scientific research. And under it is sort of over and under it is text that says stars. So in all caps with kind of a period after each letter. You're not sure what it stands for, but clearly this gnome task force has a special designation. You vaguely remember stars being somehow related to Sylvia Tome, but it didn't matter to you at the time because you were more interested in, it's like anyone doing it like a TED Talk, and they're like, oh, and also I run a not-for-profit called this. And I was like, we don't give a shit. Tell us more about cool stuff you're doing. But yes, they seem to be part of her unit.
All right. Well, this is not Sylvia, but I know she has worked with this this group, this organization. I think this is just more evidence. We are on the path of Sylvia. Sorry, Dr. Sylvia Tome. Oh my goodness.
And so, can we count her as an ally or an enemy?
I mean, based on what I know, I would say ally. However, I have clearly been betrayed by people who I thought were decent, or at least I was indifferent to. Therefore, who knows?
Yes.
But no, I believe she will be good. She is very good.
There was no key within the cloud skimmer. Only mention of it in notes and documents. Perhaps Sylvia has this key to the observatory.
Perhaps.
We will rest now, yes, and prepare for the next leg of our journey. We have much to do.
This will be very difficult for me to sleep now, but I will try.
And with that, you pile into Sylvia's quarters. Duncan, just before everyone tucks in for the night, any thoughts on the skimmer panels that match the ones from Orville? I don't think this would be like an alarming revelation, but just as I feel like one of your the D plot that Duncan's kind of dealing with, I think is coming to understand in kind of an exciting way how all the different cultures of Gren kind of tie back into Orville. So yeah, I'm just curious where he's at in terms of one more piece of the puzzle.
I think he's fascinated by the idea of the Apex Institute and how they, or gnomes, or all of the above, kind of having some sort of involvement with the idea of Orville. It becomes, I think, for him, it's a longer term thought, which is why it's not like a chat he needs to have with the others right now.
No,
but
I
it's
figured,
either to get back to Orville, clearly there are people who can make us a flying thing to get us up there, or us plus allies. Or if they know the technology, there may be a way to bring Orville down from the outside, because with how little everyone thinks of humans, he doubts they would give the humans something without there being a trip or a control built into it.
Interesting. Yep.
So that's his thing, or he's like, when I've got access to this damn institute and whoever's in there, I gotta find out what I can find out about Orville. This will be useful.
Awesome. So having defeated the monster lurking in the engine, and gained some valuable insight both about the people you're in pursuit of, as well as to some extent, I think the nature of these lightning creatures, as Makka pointed out, there seems to be conscious thought in as much as they are able to implement tactics and employ strategy. But also these things seem to just battle with killing intent. There doesn't seem to be any of the natural instinct you would assume from creatures. You've gained some insight. You found a place to rest. And more importantly, you found a place that's dry. And in Ida's case, you get to have a nap in your hero's room, which is kind of neat. So with that, the three of you tuck in to have a proper rest, happily with the rations that Makka found. Again, it's not dissimilar from the boat you were on. The main difference being these are spaceman rations. So it's a lot of plastic tubes of flavor paste, which is admittedly much more delicious than the hardtack rations. And not that you'd ever tell them this, but definitely better than Nev's stew. You're able to rest up. Duncan and Ita, you can lose your exhaustion. You're able to actually properly rest. And with that, you tuck in with the sounds of rain outside, wind, lightning in the distance, and the subtle, almost imperceptible humming of the Sylvia Tome, the Science Gnome theme song that Ida is both unaware she is doing and, more importantly, unaware that you can hear.
This episode of Curse Code and Crowd Sound was mixed and edited by Laura Hamstra, and the campaign was created by Tom McGee. Our original theme music was composed by Landon Knoblock, and Curse Code and Crown's logo was created by the brilliant Decapitated Markers. If you want to follow our players or our DM on Twitter, you can reach out to Laura at EL Hamstring, Ryan at the Ryan LaPlante, Tyler at Tyler_Hewitt, Tom McGee at McGeeTD, or you can message our whole company at DumDumDice. So please, join us again for more Curse, Code, and Crown!
Dum-Dums and Dice has to give a special thank you to the supreme beings of our Patreon at this time: Christian Menicola, the Half-Blind Prophet, Christopher Little, Sue One, George Dolby, One True Artistry, Orion Birchfield, Lorda Bradovic, Noel Lewis, Scott Garland, Anthony Griffin, Benjamin V, Gavin and Abby McDonald, Cade Peters, Richard Cranium, Anna Zed, Eric Williams, Logan, Fire Unfriendly, Acrix, Cameron Ezel, Grandma Likes D&D, Alan, Austin Nut Powers Fry, Stabby Stranger, and Jill and Noel LaPlante. If you want your name to be added to this list, you can join our Patreon too at patreon.com/dumdumdice. Thanks to them, and a little bit of thanks to you.